Welcome back, TBO viewers. We are here. I am Jay,
I'm Chris.
and we are talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
We literally,
Yeah,
literally just finished watching it,
yeah,
and wow,
4 hours.
four, yeah, actually more like five with the break,
Yeah.
and yeah,
took a little lunch break and decided to regroup and overall,
that was a definite step up.
oh
And
yeah,
yeah, that was it was a same end game kind of what they were going for with the last movie, but a much better way of getting there. They really told the backstory. It was really two movies in one almost. There was a ton of backstory between
yeah,
each and every character. They really developed the plot and story, and then all the extra stuff that they added in at the end. So
well, yeah.
it was really well done, and visually much better looking too.
Oh, it was a cleaner look. It wasn't all that the weird colors of red and kind of I don't know, mostly red from
Yeah, the
the
reds
first
and
one.
pink or purples, whatever
Yeah.
they had in there in the background. It was darker. Like
Yeah.
when they had the night scenes, it was and more of a night scene. It stayed dark. It wasn't all.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I said before, like a Joel Schumacher.
Oh, Joel Schumacher. Well, and I guess the thing I noticed a big difference on this. Well, first of all, I liked it. I mean, I thought it was good. It was a different story. It really like with all the add-ins.
There was more heart to it. There was more
Yeah.
involved. You got to see the characters, uh, especially like they had all said all along that Ray Fisher's
Mhm.
Cyborg would have more of a story, and he had way more story in this.
And it made it better.
Yes.
Like it just made it like okay. I think what the difference is, and I'll say this right here, is that it seemed like Zack Snyder cares about the characters, cares about the DC universe, whereas I don't think Joss Whedon did. He came in to do a job, and that's kind of my take on it. Um,
Yeah, his more it was more of a making a movie by formula. He
mhm.
was trying to add inject humor where it didn't necessarily need to be done.
Yeah,
There's still stuff that was in there that I thought would actually like we discussed for some lines that we
yeah.
thought maybe would be taken out. It was Joss Whedon or something. It was still in there. But overall, the tone of the characters and how they would
Mhm.
react and talk was much more true to the actual characters in comics.
It seemed more fluid. Like you kind of developed a bit of a backstory, and you got into the characters, and then their interactions just made a little bit more sense. You
Well, like
know?
we were discussing too, it was you could have broken this down into like the 4-part movie, or you could have broken it down into the 6 parts or chapters like you
Yeah,
did and played them out over the course of 6 weeks or something,
yeah.
and it would have been fine with me. It was like telling it was a well told story. Like I said, you developed the story, the
Hmm.
characters, moved the plot along perfectly with all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just a much more cohesive movie, and you didn't feel lost.
No, not at all. And yeah, with the add-in scenes, dream sequences, and you kind of predicted it in the movie. I mean, oh, spoiler alert here, by the way, just in case anybody's clicking on this and wondering, but we're going to talk about it. So, you had predicted that you figured that Flash using some of his powers would open that time split type thing, right?
Yeah,
So,
I wasn't. I kind of as I was going along, I was like, how are they going to do this? Because they kept alluding to certain things happening. Like something's going to go wrong here, and he's going to pull back time a little
hmm,
bit. And sure enough, he did.
yeah, and that was it. And that could be the set off if the new Flash movie comes out with the Flashpoint scenario. So I guess my question now is, like we had talked about in our earlier chat, what happens if this movie is successful? And by watching this now, I think it's going to be a hit.
Well, you know what? Even if it's not mega successful, I want the things that they've been developing in this story.
Yeah.
It's really well done, and where they're going with it is freaking awesome.
Hmm. Like now, I want more Zack Snyder to do a bit more of those characters,
Or stay along those
yeah,
stay on the path. Even if another director comes in, but stay on the path that they're going because what they've done with this movie is really, really good.
because okay, so from what we got Wonder Woman 1984. It's 1980s movies. It happened. That's before all this happened.
Yeah,
So totally standalone. It doesn't matter. You don't even
it
need
doesn't.
to. You don't even need to consider that. The Flashpoint coming forward, Flashpoint as a direct result from all of this, you can tie into that. So I don't think that whole direction is lost. I mean, I think you can still use it. maybe you don't have Zack Snyder doing it, but you can still use that type of direction.
Well, I think because I don't think they're not going to canonize Zack Snyder's version.
Mm.
And they didn't do anything with time travel well, technically they didn't do it in the last Justice League movie.
No.
Other than what, they didn't have this part in the last movie either, but when Bruce alluded to Barry coming back
Yeah.
and talked to him.
Yeah.
Flash from the future or whatever.
Yeah.
And told him about Lois. But, so there was time travel already alluded to, so they could technically go with that whole Flashpoint scenario. And that's what, obviously that's what they're doing though, because they're talking about that with this. They're introducing different characters from different franchises.
Wow.
Like we're gonna get Michael Keaton and guys like that coming in.
Right.
So they're doing something, but I don't know what route they're gonna go. Like they could technically still stay with us, I guess.
I mean, like I said, I've said before, it's too bad DC just hasn't got their head on straight because
it's too much of a fractured universe.
Yeah.
They don't have a clear direction. They go with the flavor of the month, and they keep changing direction, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, maybe they could have multiple different versions. Like, and it's kind of crazy. Like, but you could do that. Like, you don't have to be stuck to any one thing because they've done a standalone Joker movie. They're doing a standalone Batman movie. Yeah. And they're nothing to do with anything that's going on in this universe.
So maybe we just got to stop thinking about. And I think maybe it is an unfair comparison with the MCU,
which is designed to be that way.
Yeah, and DC at first thought they were going to play catch up and try and get on that train, and it didn't work. So maybe they just got to do their own thing and stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, right?
Just make the movies that are working and go with what's working. And this movie worked well, and I would love to see them further, the plot line.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't mind Ben Affleck as Batman. I would like to see a movie with him in it.
I would like to see a standalone Ben Affleck movie.
Yeah.
And just a gritty, dark tone. We got lots of glimpses of that in this movie.
Yeah.
They made it a darker movie. But I think you could really, if you just make a standalone movie with him, he does a good job of the character. I think you could do a pretty good movie with him.
Absolutely. And Ray Fisher's Cyborg, I thought was great.
We discussed that too, and that's like how I didn't really care for him, and even the last movie, and I didn't know much about Cyborg other than I've seen him in the Justice League or Teen Titan cartoons or things like that, and I was like, Cyborg, whatever. It just didn't really click with me. But this movie, they did a great job of his character, and going forward, I actually wouldn't mind seeing something with him. But I don't know if we will. Because of all the politics that's going on with our universe, but we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, maybe they can make amends and people, maybe there's some outpouring of love for him and saying, we want to see you. I don't know. But you're right. And maybe he's just in the movie and that's it. That's all we see of Cyborg ever again. And it's very possible. Will we see an Aquaman 2? Who knows?
There we are.
They're talking about
they're filming that right away.
So, and then maybe that's just another standalone. But I mean, when you see, if we're talking about it, like I said, spoilers again, talking about Darkseid, the way they ended that type scenario, I want to see them battle Darkseid.
They really teased a lot.
Yeah.
And we, the way it looked, we thought we were going to get a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
But they held it off, and I think they had that in mind before when they were going to use him for a sequel. But I definitely want to see more of him. The way they did the CGI, the way they did those characters, even the what we would call them, the we were discussing earlier with the ones that smell fear.
The parademons.
The parademons.
Yeah.
They were even they were less annoying in this movie. They were more they were more like soldiers and so they got all these other characters right, the CGI characters and the look of them right. So going forward, I would love to see that as the main big baddie, because you got to have somebody who can.
Well, and Steppenwolf was so much better too.
Oh, night and day from the first.
Like, he was awesome. You actually kind of like, you feared him a little bit. He was ruthless.
He was sinister. Yeah,
you really got it. But you realize that he was answering to someone worse.
Oh, yeah, much worse.
And
just trying to appease him.
Yeah. Well, and that whole sequence with when they met Darkseid to begin with, and they had the big battle with all the old gods, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
I was like,
something we didn't get in the first movie. Yeah,
no.
the original battle between Darkseid and
Mhm.
oh my god, that was so well done.
Yeah, and I like the idea that, and it makes sense. They didn't like Darkseid had no idea where the mother box is because he didn't know what world he was on back then, like 5,000 years ago. He's old and he conquered so many worlds, and the idea behind it was I mean, maybe they're not named, they're not mapped out, right? So like, and that would make sense. He didn't know where he was, right? And he was injured pretty badly in the fight. So, boom, I don't know where I am. And 5,000 years later, he's got to wait till they wake up, and here the mother boxes wake up. So, yeah, it just it's unfortunate that you get a character now like Darkseid, and there's a possibility, a very strong possibility, you don't get to see him interact with all these actors like Ben Affleck and all these characters that put this Justice League movie together. No possible Henry Cavill as Superman. I don't know. I'm a little. It sucks actually, to be honest with you, that could be reality.
Yeah, yeah, and because they're developing another Superman movie apparently that sounds very at best iffy, and if they go forward with what I'm thinking they're going forward with, I'll for the first time ever not be excited about a Superman movie, but Henry Cavill to me is Superman, and in this movie once again I think Zack Snyder really got him right. It was really well done.
Did you like Black Suit?
You know, I'm always a traditionalist when it comes to that stuff. I like the original suit, but it looked pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised at the end that he still had it on when they showed that instant when he was taking off in the alley, but I'm okay with it.
Well, yeah.
It was different. It was like we said, it was more like Zod had wore in Man of Steel.
That's right.
It looked fine to me.
Well, and the thing I liked it that if we're talking about the ending, that premonition that Bruce had, right?
That was pretty cool.
It was awesome, and that's a direct crossover kind of okay, Darkseid still's the main picture, but events that set off, and they alluded to it earlier in the movie, Lois gets dies, and
Clark blames
Bruce.
Yeah,
and that's based off of that's the Injustice video games. That's based off where that happens is the Joker actually kind of I think ends up planting the bomb, and Bruce tries to save it but doesn't save Lois, and manages to save the Joker instead. It's kind of along that lines, So yeah, I think and Clark goes berserk.
Yeah, it was a really interesting end scene. Who would have guessed you would have seen all those characters together working together to try
that's cool
to save the world.
Yeah, and that was one of the reshoots.
Definitely one of the reshoots. Yeah. Even the very last scene of the movie was a reshoot. You could tell that Ben Affleck didn't look quite as beefy and slimmer face and a little bit older. You could tell.
Yeah.
But those scenes really flowed well in the movie.
Oh,
they were perfect for the movie.
Yeah.
So because they added in the reshoots, they added in the Joker, they added in the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, and that was a great inclusion.
Oh, it was awesome.
You didn't need much. He's such a great character in the comics. Like he's equal to Superman pretty much. Like they're good buddies too, which is kind of cool. So I would love to see.
Which is interesting why he wouldn't have interjected himself earlier and helped out.
Yeah, but like you said at the end, I realized I need to be helping instead of just being standing by.
Yeah.
And I think that was the idea behind Bruce Batman getting all these heroes together, is because he's like, we need to do something instead of just sitting on the sidelines doing nothing. And it's a good message, So I don't know. Overall, like favorite parts. What was your favorite part of the movie?
With a 4-hour movie, I don't know if I had a favorite part because it was so overwhelming.
So much.
There was so much in there. Honestly, I like the flow of the movie. That's not to pick a favorite part, but what they did with it.
Yeah.
The flow and the backstory and the way things were explained, and it just kind of seamlessly went along.
Yeah.
Rarely do you get that in a movie where you're like, okay, there's like big loopholes, and I'm sure there probably are if you rewatch it a few times because every movie has them. But this has so many less loopholes, and like each character probably had, well, 4 or 5 times what they had
Oh yeah.
in the original movie for
Yeah.
character development.
Yeah.
Especially Ray Fisher's character.
Oh, absolutely.
So we just got so much more, and I'm probably gonna have to watch that movie another once or twice just to really absorb it, because I'll go back and watch it again because I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like a chore to I'll check it out again. It is a long movie. I'll probably watch it in parts this time.
Yeah.
But
well, you could break it up,
yeah.
part 1, 2, 3, 4, and watch it over a 6-day period, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a good thing.
Yeah, but it'll be nice. I'll go back and check it out. But there were so many things, like we did alluded to the first battle scene from way back. We got to see a Green Lantern as well.
Oh
They
yeah,
had little things in.
so cool.
So there was just things that they added in, and there's just, like I said, there's so much. It was overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really happy with the end result.
Yeah.
I went in with high expectations. Normally you get disappointed with that.
I know.
And I wasn't blown away, but it was really well done, and I'm happy with what they came up with.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. For me, the character development was huge, and the character development, the cleaned up look, so we don't have the lousy colors. Like,
Yep.
I mean,
It was very distracting.
Yeah, the colors were seamless in this. You didn't notice them, right? It looked good. The story flowed. Like I said, it didn't feel long. I mean, I know it was a long movie, but it didn't feel long. It felt like it was a cohesive story. You got your backstory. You understood what the characters were all about, why they're together, their interactions with each other. I think overall, and like, to me, Darkseid has always been such a cool character. A nemesis of the Justice League, nemesis of Superman.
I've never known how they would pull him off in a live action movie.
Yeah.
But I liked what I saw from that.
Me too. And it you got a little snippet of him, and you want more now. I'm like, I need more. He's a Thanos level character.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's what you're feeling, because you were alluding to before. Steppenwolf is the big baddie.
Yeah.
But yet he's afraid of the real big baddie.
Oh, yeah.
So that tells you just how powerful Darkseid is.
Exactly.
And we got to see a couple little glimpses of him in battle.
Just crushing people, and then you're getting Zeus throwing lightning bolts at you, and Ares coming down.
But
with
even later in the movie, there was that other scene where it showed him with the Omega beam, and so we got to see some because he didn't have the Omega in the initial battle.
No, he didn't.
No.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I mean, I think there's lots of possibilities you can go from this. I would love to see more. I don't know if we're going to get it, though. I mean, I just don't think
honestly,
we're going to get it.
It'll be disappointing if we don't, because this is what it should have been all along.
Oh, yeah.
It's too bad, unfortunate, with the events that happened in Zack Snyder's life that kind of caused him to not be part of the end result the first time. But it would have been nice if they had just held off putting it out and just put out his vision, because we would be already right now, we'd be where all these movies should have been. And
we were talking about that, and because of Zack Snyder's personal life situation, and 100% agree, stepping away from the film and taking time to spend with your family. I mean, that's important. But why couldn't the studio say, we understand this project is it's you? Why didn't they wait? Like, what they, you think about the movies like Star Wars that came out back in the day, like, it took 3 years. 3 years to get these movies out. Why not wait? Why not wait a year?
I agree, but at the same time, we don't necessarily know every detail behind everything.
Yeah,
so, like,
I don't know.
because maybe he didn't want any part of it too. Like, I don't know the exact details. But
I feel like he did, though. I mean, like, you can't tell me. I mean, there's a lot of investment in what he did.
For sure. But at the time, obviously, he had much bigger issues on
more important issues, for sure.
Absolutely.
But
so it is what it is, and going forward, hopefully they see, by reaction, because the overall reaction out there, even from critics, is overwhelmingly positive.
Well, and I hope they give him another movie. I would actually like to see another movie from him.
I want to see Justice League 2. I'll tell you that right now.
Me too.
I'm actually. I don't know if you guys have talked amongst yourselves and friends.
Yeah. That
a lot of people were like, the Flash movie or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm super excited for that movie.
Yeah, I'm into it now.
I think that could be potentially one of the bigger movies in the last few years.
Coming out this year, or is it next year? I'm not sure.
No, I don't even think they've actually started filming it.
Okay, so
if they have, they just have recently started filming. But I'm guessing that's probably a 2022 release.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so Justice League 2, that'd be great. I mean, that first, like when I watched that first original version of Justice League, I didn't like it. I remember
No.
going to the theater and walking out and thinking to myself, what the hell did I just watch? And then when I rewatched it again before we were going to do this, I said, well, I better watch it again. Just I don't remember watching half of that because I think I just tuned it out of my brain, and I'm like,
rewatched it as well,
yeah.
and you know, I was going into it going, that's gonna be a little painful having to watch it. I didn't hate it as much as I did before
No.
because I think I just put so much of a hate. Well, I wouldn't say a hate on, but it was
Just
not.
I
It
don't
wasn't
like
overwhelmingly positive.
yeah,
But I watched it again. I was like, okay, well, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but it wasn't very good either.
no,
So going into this, I was like, well, I can only have high expectations because it's if they're willing to put the money into this,
oh yeah,
it's got to be so much better.
yeah, and like I said, I hope we get more. I hope we get more. That's
I hope we get a lot more. I'm still crossing my fingers for more Superman from Henry Cavill.
mm-hmm.
I would like to see a Man of Steel too. I just talk of him already having signed a contract to do cameos in some of the movies. Like Shazam 2 and things like that, and Black Adam.
But they said he wouldn't be in it. But I mean, maybe they're just like his.
Yeah, but they don't. They say that about everything.
I know.
They're not going to give away all their.
Just try and keep keep it quiet, right?
Yeah, they want to keep people surprised, and you don't like I said. I've always said this. You don't want to go into every movie knowing everything because it ruins the experience. And that's the problem with movies in the last 10, 20 years with having the internet.
Yeah.
All that information out there, it kind of ruins it. When we were growing up as kids, you go to the movie theater, not knowing other than what you see in the trailer. That's it.
Yeah, you saw the trailer, and that was
and even then you're like, okay, I wonder if this movie's good. It looks kind of good. Oh, we'll go check it out. And you go see something like Back to the Future when we were kids.
Yeah.
One of the greatest movies ever, in my opinion. Right?
Well, yeah, and the trailer was cool, and you're like, yeah, I'll go check it out. And I mean, but the worst was you get the trailer that had all the goods in it,
and then you go
and it was a terrible movie.
And it happens. But nowadays,
yeah.
you can potentially know everything about the movie going in. Like and everything's leaked and
with everybody's voice out there with fan theories and stuff, and I think like we've talked about it, fan theories sometimes go so far that you get
bigger expectations,
and you're disappointed, right? I mean, it's a neat kind of setup.
I love that. I 100%. If the internet just had fan theories, I'm okay with that. I don't care if you blow it out of proportion.
Absolutely.
Because then you don't know, and everybody's like guessing, and you go into the movie, it's like that didn't happen at all.
I know.
And I like that. I like going in and being surprised.
Yeah.
Whether it be even if it's not pleasantly surprised, I'd rather be surprised.
True.
And just not know because you don't want to. If you're gonna go in knowing everything, you're gonna go in bored.
Oh yeah.
And you're not gonna enjoy the experience as much.
And like I said, with this movie, pleasantly surprised. It was good. Yeah.
Damn good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I said, if we get more going forward, awesome. I mean, if not, I guess it's a great kind of ender.
Yeah.
Because at least it fixes up kind of a lousy movie to begin with.
Yeah, it did it justice.
So we want to hear from you guys though. Comments and questions.
Your thoughts on the movie, whether you liked it or didn't like it, what you did like about what you didn't like about it.
Yeah.
Everything. And with that, I think that's all we got to say on that matter.
Yeah, join us next time.